Robocalls and telemarketers have basically made phone calls as unreliable a form of communication as letters by mail. But back in 1993, one man started receiving robocalls from a voice that claimed he was being impersonated. Over the course of 4 calls, the mystery only grew. These are the Gary Sudbrink calls.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Our Haunted Nostalgia, your monthly podcast about mysteries that happens to also have cryptids sometimes. I'm here today with my co-star, co-host, and all-around co-friend, Adam.
That's a lot of co's.
That's a lot of co's. And we've got our co-guest, Chip.
Hey, what happened to your finger?
So I was actually going to ask you guys, how are you guys feeling after...
God, that looks disgusting. What happened to his hand?
How'd he drive here?
Maybe that's the focus of this podcast.
He just escaped a serial killer and he's like, I gotta make
the man with the iron claw over here.
How do you guys feel about yourselves after that Bridgewater Triangle episode?
What do you mean, how do I feel like in...
Dude, shit fell apart for me. I picked up that curse, whatever the hell it was. Dude,
Well, clearly, look at your hand.
that episode deleted itself 2 times.
Oh.
Yeah.
They tried real hard not to.
Yeah, it's trying real hard not to exist. Like 4 days after we recorded it, I go to fucking close the door on my car. It took my fingernail.
Oh, God, that's even more disgusting.
Bashed my finger, dude. It
that
was
explains
awful.
it.
I was literally walking into work. It was 7:30 in the morning. Clip my finger, and I suddenly go, "Oh, that was a lot of pain." And I look, and my hand is covered in blood. And I just walk into the nurse's office, and I go, "Can you do anything about this?" They wrapped it as best they could, and then I just went about the rest of my day because there was nothing they could do about it.
To put into perspective how uncomfortable I am looking at his hand, his finger literally looks like fucking Ren's foot from Ren and Stimpy. It's discolored. It's elongated.
Or just look up the gif of Squidward having his toenail ripped off by a
the torture porn from SpongeBob.
I wouldn't call it torture porn, but it's unnecessarily graphic.
Dude.
Squidward toenail.
Yeah. You'll see it. It's either going to be a GIF or a 10-second video.
Yeah, it's way too...
Is this like more modern SpongeBob or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Of course it's...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why did they show that?
That's what happened to your finger.
That's what happened to my
got stuck
finger.
in a car door and it...
You guys didn't pick up the curse at all? Just me? Didn't Port get into like a horrific bicycle accident or some shit?
Hey, don't say that about Port. He's actually in prison.
Oh. I forgot. He was
Through
the
no
cause
fault of his own.
He was the cause of the bicycle
Well, no,
accident.
it's definitely fault. Remember, he was trying to burn... I forget what he tried to burn down.
He called them artifacts. I don't know if that's accurate to what I would call
He tried
them.
to set a fire at a local museum. I don't know. He was something about freeing the souls in some kind of
the local museum
guy. Who knows?
The local museum was the Spencer's Gifts at the mall.
It was the ceramic museum in Doylestown. It was just like pots and cups and stuff.
The best would be a place where the best place would be a place for an arsonist that's literally designed to be in flames.
I would love to run like a curiosity shop where it's like full of the haunted stuff, like the Annabelle doll, except it's really lame shit that could like even if it is haunted, it's like this will give you an upset stomach if you drink from this water cooler. Just like
have you heard? And then you just fill the water cooler with castor oil. This really will fuck you up.
Or no, what if it's like a monkey's? I don't even know what it's called. But like, imagine all the water cooler can do is slightly upset your stomach, so you start filling it with like jet fuel, like depleted
so
uranium.
it actually brings the threat level down because
so
it's only so lethal.
You're drinking like 3 million calorie drinks, fueling yourself for eternity, but all it's doing is giving you an upset stomach. I don't know how, but the government would weaponize that some way, somehow.
Yeah.
A weaponized upset tummy.
A weaponized.
Isn't that how they tried?
Dirty cooler.
That's how they tried to kill Castro. I think they gave him Ipecac in one of his
cigars.
Yeah, but this isn't a history podcast. This is a podcast about
technology, about haunted technology, because we grew up in the era right when, I guess technology has technically been haunted for as long as we can imagine if you consider like Excalibur.
If technology is like the wheel.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like technology
the grindstone.
notably less haunted.
Because now we've got chairs and tables.
I think it gets more haunted.
Dude.
Ghosts in the Machine?
I don't know, dude. There was literally a period of time where people believed that items were cursed.
Yeah.
You don't want to pick up that cursed crown. You know what I mean?
Right. But now, like, I would argue that it's more believable that items are haunted nowadays, because back in the day, like, believing that a camera is haunted is like, there's like 4 working, moving parts. Whereas like a computer,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much shit. You could tell me that it's like, oh, we actually have to kill a kid to make every motherboard. And I'd be like,
You'd
oh,
be
that
like,
makes,
I
that's why
guess.
it's called a motherboard. I get it now. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with. Let me ask you guys, what would you consider, quote unquote, the most haunted technology of our day? Because I have a list of a couple of things that I made, and the quick list that I came up with was, just off the top of my head, things that have been used in most like horror or haunted media. It's always telephones, radios, and televisions are the big 3 haunted items.
Radio waves are the easiest thing to make spooky because they literally involve invisible things
energy
in the air.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's basically ghosts.
So it's like, oh, I turn this box on and it makes noise. That's the whole gimmick of EVPs, dude.
You know what's fun? I was actually, I hate to quote Twitter posts on this, but I did see something. I learned from there that the guy who first discovered radio waves thought it was a useless discovery, because he's like, yeah, this guy was right. There is invisible frequencies we can't detect. We've discovered them. And they were like, well, they asked him what the possibilities of this discovery are going to like be and what you could use. And he goes, nothing, I guess. That's a quote. He said, nothing, I guess.
Well, that's fucking raw. That guy, that's a crazy. That's like Edison discovering electricity,
And
touching,
going, nobody can use this.
getting
gives a
shocked.
shit.
Yeah, and be like,
He buries
wow,
it.
that's a nice party trick. I got to remember to pull that.
Watch
Yeah.
him. Didn't he zap elephants to death?
That was Thomas Edison, not, not Thomas Jefferson.
Okay. I missed
at-
Well, you
but-
said wait. Yeah,
Did I
Thomas
say
Jefferson
Edison?
was out there flying a kite.
Yeah, Edison was shocking.
Thomas Jefferson wasn't the kite guy. Wasn't that Franklin? Ben Franklin?
Ben Franklin.
Oh my God, we got all
You're
of
right.
our fucking Sorry.
This is not a history.
Right.
No,
book.
yeah, this is why we are not.
Holy-
Check your sources,
We're
everybody.
not that far from the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Why did we all smoke so much ketamine before this?
We gotta at one point just do.
That's a joke.
We
That's
gotta
a
do
joke for the listeners.
DMT right
And
before a
for the
podcast
censors.
starts one day.
No, we're being demonetized right now.
That's true. What would you guys say is like other quote like haunted technology? Because it's usually like off the top of my head, other stuff.
Does it have to have a screen or an
no,
interface?
it just what I would
My brain always goes to like things that focus on sight.
like
Like you said,
Cameras is a big
Cameras,
one.
I think of
Shutter.
cameras,
Yeah.
glasses, anything
Yeah.
like that.
mirrors are usually
Yeah,
a big
mirrors, things that
Computer.
involve sight.
I mean, there's a horror movie about a haunted Skype call. you
one. I
know?
was just about to bring that up. The
Which is
big
kinda
one,
interesting.
The big one of our current generation is haunted social media.
I think if done well, it's interesting.
Poltergeist made TV scaries. The Twilight Zone. Made
Same with what is it?
Ring,
The Ring. I was going
dude.
to say
What the
Ring.
fuck?
Yeah, that's
is
another
the-
one. Yeah.
And every time I think of a camera used in horror, I think the coolest depiction of that was Fatal Frame.
I was just about
That's
to
a
bring it
really
up.
good
Oh
one.
my
was
God.
that a cool game?
That you know what? That might actually be the number one most haunted technology in media. Cameras in general. Because I mean, there's so much spooky stuff you can do with it.
Well,
yeah.
think about how much of this entire genre as a whole on the internet is predicated solely off of the photography. Most of the evidence is photos.
Pictures, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like videos. if they come up-
ghost photography is the entire.
But I was just about to say,
fucking
no,
industry.
normally when videos pop up, they're almost immediately debunked, or people go out of their way to. Photos pop up, and everybody goes, either it's immediately photoshopped, or it's the most believable thing they've ever seen in their lives. And I'm sure there'll be a handful that this is legitimate paranormal evidence, because that's the best evidence we can get for the paranormal. Save, again, a ghost appearing in this room with the 3 of us right now.
Man, would that really pump up the viewership?
That would, dude. Are you kidding?
We're joined by Casper today.
They would just. I think we could actually 100% get real haunted. All 3 of us could see a poltergeist that none of us could disprove, and everybody listening would think it's a bit.
Yeah.
'Cause
That's who we
oh
are.
my god!
I also think I'm just not nearly confident enough in my intelligence to be like, there is no rational explanation. Like, I feel like I would experience something like Casper would literally wake up right next to me and be like, what up, dude? And I'd be like, I think this is a ghost, but I also know that I'm dumb as fuck.
Well, that's
so there's probably a real explanation.
You would self-gaslight yourself
Yeah,
that
I'd be
I'm
like, there's
so
no way
dumb.
This is real. I was like, if I could get an intelligent person next to me, they'd be like, clearly that was a piece of swamp gas, and I'd be like, thank you.
Piece of swamp, just a pocket of swamp
Pull
gas.
me, pull
In my
me
bedroom
from my
at 3
ignorance.
a.m.
I need to be saved from my own ignorance, is what I'm saying.
But for this episode, we're going to be talking about a particular piece of haunted technology. It's not cameras, but it's adjacent. It is telephones, which were created around the
it's a
same
good one,
time.
too.
Yeah. And the thing about telephones is we also do have plenty of old urban legends and stories that come with them. The most iconic of which everybody remembers is the call is coming from within the house. It is February 8th, 1993. The focus of this mystery is one Gary Sudbrink, a U.S. Air Force captain who worked at the pharmacy on the base in San Antonio, Texas. He noticed he had a couple of days off coming up ahead for a little bit of an extended vacation and decided he would spring a little surprise visit for his friends and family back at Long Island, New York. And to avoid having to use any of his actual military leave or vacation days, he thought he'd do it a little bit under the radar. But in his room, the evening before the flight, while packing, he heard the telltale signs of the beating blades of a helicopter outside. Stepping onto the balcony, without his glasses on, he saw a helicopter hovering about 20 feet off of the ground. Unsure of what was happening, he rushed to get his glasses, but by the time he returned to try to make out more details, the helicopter had already ascended. Now that in and of itself isn't necessarily strange, especially at an airport base, but it was strange that Gary found it out of the ordinary, and when he came back to check on it, whoever was in the helicopter, or whoever was near him in that helicopter, took the opportunity to leave before Gary could make out any more details. That was just the start of the many weird and strange occurrences that would happen to Gary on his way home. At the airport the next day, while waiting to board, Gary was approached by a man he did not know. The man began to pry, asking Gary a series of questions under the guise of being an entrepreneur and needing information for market research for his business. Gary politely answered, but grew increasingly uncomfortable talking about himself as the man continued to pry for more information. Luckily, the plane finally began boarding and Gary had an excuse to get on. But even as he tried to escape, this one stranger, a different man, sat next to him and began pestering him with equally strange questions, asking him, "How do you spell your last name? When do you think you'll be returning to Texas?" A flight attendant finally had to inform the man that he needed to go to his assigned seat, and he finally did, leaving Gary in some measure of peace.
Can we just quickly interject two things?
Go for it.
Hey, if some guy comes up to you at the airport and says, "Hey, I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm interested in doing some market research on you. What color are your eyes? You have an in or outy belly
Mother's
button."
maiden name.
Yeah, what's your mother's maiden name?
What street did
what's
you
your
grow up on?
address?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know. I live on the Air Force base, but my family's from Long Island. Well, dude, you know what? You know what you say in that situation? "Please leave me alone, sir."
Do you know what it is?
Please leave me alone. I have a bomb.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
You scream
All
it
right.
very loudly.
It's 1993.
Yeah, so he's allowed to do it.
That's
He would've
true.
get
Could have
kicked off
walked right onto the plane.
Still another 9
They would be
years
like-
before that's illegal.
They would be like, "Sir, please, you have to declare that bomb
Did
before
you know
boarding this flight."
before 9/11 you could legally bring bombs?
You just had to
You
carry
could,
it.
as long as you declared it to
Yeah.
customs, it was totally
It was
fine.
considered a personal item even.
You had to pinky promise to not set it off in the air.
But it was 1993, so I think I think most people were probably just a little bit more.
I don't think it matters what. I was going to use that defense, and then I realized I don't think it matters what. I don't think it's 1776 if somebody sat next to me and started prodding me for all my personal information. I'd be like,
Excuse
what
me,
the
kind
fuck?
But
sir.
but to I'm not gonna lie, dude. In 1993, I couldn't even imagine what could
You
they-
weren't born.
I know, but I'm thinking like, what could they use my personal information for? Except opening credit cards.
But the thing is, it's like I wouldn't even want to tell them any of those.
Oh, that's
things in
fair.
the first place. I'd just be like, "Why are you, dude? I don't want to be part of your. I know that you're really excited about starting this new company. What did you call it? Chicken Fila? I don't know.
Chicken
but I'm not
Fila?
interested in being part of your market
Chipotle?
research.
I don't know. That's gonna fail.
Chipotle?
Nice
I've never
name,
heard
idiot.
that word.
But if you sign right here, I can give you 15% stock options in this little company I'm starting
Googly?
up called Apple.
Bitecoin?
Apple.
How about bite me, sir? I'm getting on my plane.
You
Business
can shove
class.
that Apple right up your. When he finally landed at home, he called his friend Mike. When Mike picked up the line, Mike informed Gary that they'd spoken on the phone, with Gary telling him that he'd flown into LaGuardia and had taken ill recently. Current Gary, confused about the conversation, corrected his friend that he'd flown into JFK and that he had not been ill, and assumed that Mike had been playing a practical joke on him. Mike swore on the phone that he had spoken with Gary and that he was not pulling a practical joke.
Gary is the base dork. Gary wears glasses.
Yes.
He works at the pharmacy.
Yes.
Everybody knows because Gary thinks he's slick. Oh, he's going to go visit his family. Guess what? Everybody already knows. They figure, we're going to trick this fucking guy. So what they do is they do a little low flyover at his house and get him all rustled. And then they know his family's information because he's on the base. They call up his family and say, hey, I'm coming the day before. Yeah. And it's all because these bastards pick on Gary. I saw that movie, You Can't Handle the Truth, A Few Good Men. Lots of bullying happens on these bases, whether they're in Cuba or in Texas.
I dislike that Chip over here, I think out of his ass just pulled out a better theory than any of the theories I actually read online about what's going to be happening to Gary in a minute.
He's being bullied.
He's getting picked on by his dude. If a 5-star general wanted to, he could gang stalk you and you wouldn't know.
I also really like the idea of like a 5-star military general just being like, this fucking dork, I'm gonna slightly inconvenience him.
But you have the power to.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if I were like,
that's the thing. If I was Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, why spent all this money beating children in Africa or whatever the fuck billionaires spend their money on?
I don't think it's that, but okay.
Dude, it's exactly that.
I think I donated to a charity that directly funds beating. I stopped once I found out, obviously. But
I would just spend money to inconvenience the annoying people in my life. To put it into perspective, this isn't the first time that Gary had actually dealt with a little bit of high strangeness in his life. Gary could not shake the unsettling feeling looming over him since he made the choice to visit his home. And he remembered an equally strange event that had occurred 1 year prior. His brother Stephen was getting married in 1992 and was on his way to the wedding. He was speeding in his car, butterflies in his stomach, when he saw in the rear view a car catching up to him fast. In his confusion, he slowed down and tried to figure out who it was, but his worry melted away when he realized that in the car behind him was his brother, who had pulled up beside him on the road. Stephen smiled and waved, but all Gary did was pull up beside the car, begin making faces, speed up, and then disappear in the distance. After the wedding, Stephen approached his brother and asked him what that was about on the road, to which Gary had to say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't drive the car you're talking about. It's still parked in San Antonio, Texas, at the base. I flew here.
I don't want to be the peanut gallery exclusively, but this guy was already, as you reported, speeding and quite nervous because he's moving towards a very important event. You know, he noticed, he should have, Nathan Fielder style. He should have been driving at a more safe speed, but we're just going to assume that he's speeding. He notices another car flying because he's already speeding and this thing catches up. This other car proceeds to pull into the opposing lane of traffic, and he is waving outside of his car, and he clearly sees his brother in a car that goes whisking away and by.
Mm-hmm.
How likely are we to judge that this guy is able to adequately and correctly identify the person who's driving another car who passes him quickly?
he's wearing glasses.
He has oh shit, I forgot, I didn't hear that detail. That's perfect because only Gary wears glasses.
And I think he specified, like, dude, I saw your car, your powder blue minivan speeding down.
Oh, wow. The really exclusive hypercar powder blue minivan that could be particularly common. A Honda Odyssey? What are there, only like 30,000 of those in this state?
I think that's even undershooting.
Yeah, it's like, bro, it's not like this guy's, I saw your blood red 1967 Corvette that's incredibly unique to you that also says ass man on your license plate. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, it's a blue van.
Regardless, both of them assumed the other person was playing a practical joke. Steven assuming Gary was pretending to not know what he was talking about, and Gary pretending to fuck with Steven about having seen him. That was just a quick memory that it just came to Gary's mind while all of this was going on. But after having finally gotten home and settled down is when the real crux of this mystery begins. Because this is known as the Gary Sudbrink call. Because 24 hours after the confusion and strangeness of all of this beginning, at 10:30 p.m., the night that he landed, right after finishing his call with Mike, the phone rang. Gary answered it, expecting it to just be Mike talking to him about what they had just brought up. But instead, we get the beginning of the mystery.
This is a promising thing. This is the first case where I'm like,
There's like
this
something
actually
interesting.
might feel to me where I'm like, holy fuck, Elias really brought some serious shit to the table.
Something interesting.
Yeah.
It's 10:30 p.m. Monday, February 8th, 1993.
I was a year and a week old.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
How do we know it wasn't you doing these calls?
I was still eating mushy food.
He had.
I
I'll
couldn't-
tell you what. He has had a weird look go across his face before he came up with that line.
I was like, oh, fuck.
he was like, shit.
You start playing the audio, and it's just like, hey, Gary.
It's
It's
literally
just
Adam's
Adam.
voice again. We think it's narration.
I'll tell you who it is.
That's Gary.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to him?
Is Gary Sudbrink there?
Yeah, who's this? Steven? Are you playing games with me or what?
You can talk into
Huh?
the mic. It's fine.
Okay.
He sounds like Howard Stern.
Sounds like, I don't know. he
Steven,
sounds
if you're
like-
playing games, I'm going to kick your ass.
Dude, I love. You can tell how fucking New Yorker this guy is.
Huh?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
That's just a
Yeah,
creepy
excuse
line to
me.
begin with.
It's creepy.
You're pissing me off.
But again, he just thinks it's his friend.
Why is this call recorded in the first
I'm going
place?
to get you on.
We'll talk about that.
Let's see what it says. Review. One new call out of area.
So
Steven out of the area?
right now he's asking if his brother's out of the area because he sees the caller ID isn't from
Wait, say that
anywhere he
again?
knows.
Being impersonated by the other voice.
Wait, hold on. Is Steven out of the calling area or what? What do you mean you don't know? He's in Queens.
I love how New Yorker
I
these
don't
people
know.
are. It's so good.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Is Gary Sudbrink
He fucked up the name twice in the same way. Yeah.
Studbrick, yeah.
Who is this?
This just feels like such a prank call.
It's kind of interesting.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
though,
it's,
but,
it is.
Hello?
but just wait.
Texas?
That's such a weird way to ask that.
What was that again, sir?
Isn't it? It doesn't even make sense.
By the other voice.
Oh, be quiet now, son. Sorry, would you see that again? Hello? Being impersonated by what voice?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello?
I can't get over that.
Is Gary
I think it's a recording
Yeah, hold on a second.
because it makes the same mistake every time.
Yeah, what is your question? I'll answer it.
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
And his cadence is, it's definitely, it's.
How
okay.
long?
What? Yeah.
Impersonated by the other voice.
Right. When am I coming back? Is that your question? Okay, there was a break. Hold on. You want to know when I'm coming back to Texas?
See, I was
Oh,
thinking
is
he was
that your
asking
question?
the opposite question. How long are you going to be in New York?
Going to be back from Texas.
Yeah. From
Just
How
Texas.
long am I going to be back in Texas? That question doesn't make
Well,
any
that's why
sense.
people are super confused about what the voice is
Okay.
actually asking,
I'll
what
be
it could be
coming back
trying to
eventually,
get from him, what it could be trying to
I
say.
can't tell you when. You should know that question, answer to the questions, because you seem to know more about me than I do.
Like he's calling
really
the
funny.
voice out, whatever.
Just get
it
mad
know
at
what
the
I'm
ghost. Yeah.
What? Like
Are
fuck.
you an intergalactic person? Are you
That's
an
such a great way of
alien?
asking that. It's even
Sounds like you hung
better.
up. I can't believe this.
That was.
He hung up, Gary.
Is that the end? I don't want to.
See if he comes back. All right, I'll hang up.
And then he hangs up for the time being. But like,
I just like Dad interjecting to be like, "Are you an alien?
are you an intergalactic person?
Are you from space?" Yeah. why
But
do you
so
sound
like, what, no,
Kyle's
really,
dad?
what did you guys think of that? Because you pointed out, both of you pointed out a couple of very interesting things.
So I will say that you're being impersonated by the other voice. The third time he said, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got a little bit of chills. There is something naturally eerie about that.
About the way his
Yeah.
voice sounds, about the,
The
way he's
voice
delivering
with
it.
what he's actually saying is a little creepy.
Well, but I'm confused as to what he means by you're being impersonated by the other
He's
voice.
talking about the
The other Gary is what people think he's talking about, because Gary from the stories has talked about some kind of a doppelganger scenario. I know we haven't talked about doppelgangers proper because they're in like pop culture media. It's
Yeah,
usually
it's a
just
lot of
like
different
it's
stuff.
just another version of you, whether it be mimic. But in like paranormal circles, doppelgangers are like insidious because they are
trying to replace you.
they're like the anti-you. So like when people in reference to this call, or these calls I should say, people bring up that story between Stephen and Gary during the day of Stephen's wedding as like so what if there is you out, like another you? You are in the military. You've been in the military for a while. people don't say that. Like, what if the military cloned you? What if something is going on? Something's out there, and there is something trying to impersonate you without you knowing. Why is the voice warning him? What is it trying to ask when it says, "Are you back from
And
Texas?"
it's clearly
So
a
the
recording.
voice is trying to portray itself as something that's actually supporting
supporting
Gary 1.
Well,
Okay.
that's Gary Alf Prime.
Gary, yeah,
Prime.
yeah.
Gary Prime.
But then the other thing is you brought up, Adam, is that
a
it
recording.
sounds recorded.
Well,
but
it has to be. So he fucked up his name the same exact way three
times.
And if you listen to the cadence of the other questions he asked, like the way, like there's a certain like pop when he says certain things like that. It's absolutely, unless the guy's just really, really good at it, it's the same
way
line.
delivery. So, but then the question comes like, so do you think it's a bunch of different recordings that someone brought into a singular recording?
Right.
Or is it like...
Well, so think about the three. So what was it? There was three lines. Is Gary there?
Yeah, is Gary Sudbrink there?
Right.
It's-
Well, so the first is asking if he's there. The second is warning him that he's being impersonated,
by the
and then
other
the
voice.
third one is just asking how long he's in New York
Or
in a strange
way. In a strange way.
In a strange
well,
way.
is it asking him how long he's going to be in New York, or is it asking him when he's going to be returned? I mean, it's relative same
It's
question.
the same question,
but
different phrase.
Phrased,
Yeah, apples and oranges, yeah.
Regardless, it sounds like a weird way to phrase it.
Right. I agree with that.
I still think the prank theory might apply where
Sure.
this could be, it sounds to me like a voice modulator.
Yeah,
It could be
and he
somebody
thinks
I
it's
mean,
his
it's 'cause
brother.
somebody just
Yeah. And he thinks it's his
But-
brother
but
right now.
It could still work. You do a voice modulator into a recording, and then you have the basic soundboard that you're just. I mean, even if you had just a simple recording that you could rewind to this to the.
Yeah, I
starts
mean,
and
again,
stop.
it's 93. I think it's like
Well,
you
that's what it
basically
is.
just talking
So
to like a tape.
You
recorder.
asked.
Yeah.
You asked why is he recording this right now, and I think this is because everybody had an answering machine back in
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s, but also because they went, hey, Mike, what do you mean this weird thing is going on right now? Oh, shit, this random voice just started calling. Click, record, and then you get, the visuals of this with the
Yeah.
slowly turning thing. Let's move on to call 2 and see how the story tends to unfold, okay? And again, this is call 2.
What is your question?
That's immediate.
Yes,
obnoxious.
speaking.
Immediately different. So it's not the same recording at the very least.
Could I answer any questions for you?
So that's just asking him an
Oh,
incorrect
not back
question
yet,
now.
no.
Back from
Let me,
Texas.
and
What is
first,
he
you
asking?
tell me, where are you calling from?
He's actually trying to get a couple of answers.
Well, if it's recorded, you can't.
True.
Yeah, why don't you tell me where you're calling from? What do you mean, who is this? You should know who it is. It's me, Gary.
That guy gets indignant.
Yeah. What do you mean? Who is this?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh wait, am I?
Wait, let me...
If he's
Let me
getting
answer this
prank
question.
called,
Where are you
he's
calling
playing
from?
right into the people.
Oh, 100%. But
Okay, I'll be back.
keep an eye on the
Excuse
skies
me?
is what he just said. If anybody could not hear that in the actual audio, near Orion.
When did Men in Black?
I can't hear too well.
Orion's belt. The full moon.
Spooky.
Yeah, there's a full moon out. That's true.
So now we know it. If
Could you
it's
identify
recorded, it's being
yourself?
recorded day of. Or with the intention of playing during a full moon.
Identify yourself. Why are you calling me? Excuse me? I cannot hear too well. Hold on, let me switch phones.
Again,
90s problem.
I was just about to
I'm
say.
being haunted. Hold on, let me get the good phone.
His dad's actually on the other line.
right.
mind you.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Now, who are you?
Keep an eye in the sky, he said. Yeah.
Dude,
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
this guy must have been going through hell on the base.
For them to go this far.
Well,
Please
I
repeat.
mean, he just looks like the calls are giving me like he's playing so much
Into this,
Okay.
Like, excuse me, what?
Like
I
they
don't
know.
know. I think this is a pretty moderate
Near
stance
Orion.
because, like,
Why would you be on the phone this long?
Tonight was
The full moon? Repeat. Okay. Okay.
on, my
Repeat
dad's on
last
the
word.
line.
I'm hearing static.
Just talk to him. What do you mean? I like
He
to
hung
talk.
up. Hello?
So the Skinamarink demon calls you,
Still gotta watch that movie.
I got yeah.
and he says, "Is this Adam Sudbrink?"
Yeah.
How
You're
long are you
being
staying on that call?
impersonated.
Be honest with yourself, because Gary, I think, is definitely somebody who strikes me as
Sure.
willing to not play along in that he thinks this is a joke, but if he would be getting pranked by his fellow friends,
his coworkers.
he is a prime target because he keeps going, "Can you repeat this?" And he told his entire family network about this. They're all on the calls waiting with bated breath.
I'm not saying I believe that an eerie voice is warning him that he's being doppelganged and yada, 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 all that type of stuff. This is such a lame prank if it is a prank, and I kind of appreciate the way Gary's handling it because, yeah, I probably wouldn't be that invested. I absolutely answer any and all phone calls, and I'm like kind of in it to win it. Like I'll answer
Bold.
surveys. I don't give a shit. I answer shit. I don't.
Yeah.
What are they gonna fucking do?
I
Shoot
don't
me
know.
through the phone?
That's fair.
Who cares?
I might just be the millennial in me, but talking on the phone is like the thing I never want to do.
Yeah,
maybe
I
when
feel like I would hang up.
I mean, so like if I were in his shoes, well, again, I'd be.
Well, for
one.
this, I wouldn't hang up just because it's interesting.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
See, like I think I'd stick for a little bit. I do think I would bail sooner than Gary. Like I do think, like once he started to repeat himself, I'd be like, all right, asshole.
You're bored
But the
or-
second phone call is interesting because again, it repeats, but somebody clearly recorded it again, which is
but
interesting.
here's the thing: it repeats and it changes. And the other thing
Right.
about that you have to remember is the
when
first,
when I say it changes, I mean from the first call, not
but
during the
But what I'm
second.
saying is it's changing because the first call I have noted was taken at 10:30. The second call was taken at 11:10.
Okay.
So like somebody's doing this on the fly if they're trying to record something and send it over to Gary via a landline, because you got to remember this is a landline era America. This is when fucking phone numbers had 7 digits or however many digits originally. This is before area codes. So not one more time. Another time, again, minutes later, a third call came in, much to the family's
Same day
frustration.
as the second.
Same day.
This is actually
8
one of the
minutes
more
later.
interesting.
So is it AM or PM?
It's
PM.
PM
It's
right
PM.
now.
It's about-
It was 11:30 p.m. It is now 11:38 p.m.
I mean, Texas is what, an hour behind? Time of Long Island? I think it's an hour.
He's in New York. Texas is. It depends. I think it depends where in
It's
Texas.
within. Well, we can just reasonably
An hour
assume
to
it's
two.
within 2 to at maximum 3 hour
And it's
difference.
not.
I don't even
bless
think
you.
it's. Yeah, I think it's an hour, but I might be wrong.
It might also depend where in Texas you are. 'Cause
yeah,
it's a big fucking state.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But again, it's within 2 hours, so it is. They're calling after the, because the only thing I was thinking is if it is, like, let's say it's 11:30 a.m. This person would be calling also before the workday started, quote unquote. If the idea is that these
I see
people are
what you're saying.
pranking,
But yeah, no, this is
But you're
PM.
but
like-
either way, it's after the base's
Operations are
operational
over.
time. Obviously, the base would probably be 24 hours, but I'm thinking they're working.
You're
in
saying
shifts.
like his buddies are now on their downtime and
Yes.
they know where the fuck is Gary? Did that
Yep.
shit run away to his
they
family?
know enough about him that they probably would be able to assume where he is. Maybe he let it slip somewhat, and now they're playing a
Sure.
prank on him.
Yeah, and that's again it's with
And,
the
and
assumption
they
that
know
this is a
enough
prank.
familial details to be just accurate enough, you know. But it is creepy, I will say.
Yeah, this is actually. I get the occasional chill. I'm like, damn, that's actually spooky.
Okay. Yeah, it's taking time from the talk. Who is this?
Stephen, this is not funny, you know.
Again, he just
So
needs
that's
his
why he's not
brother.
hanging up. He's
yeah.
still
Brian, it's not Steven.
His dad's on the other
Brian.
phone, mind you.
I mean, Gary.
How do I know
by
it's
his
not
brother,
Steven?
other brother's
It's
name.
not Steven. Hello? I had a UFO experience in West Virginia, which you probably know. And I know
Is that
you're into,
racist?
an intergalactic
Why
person.
would it be?
You know all those other aliens, right? You're an
Oh.
alien.
Can you speak a little louder? Sir? Can you speak a little louder? Louder?
Let me speak to him, Dad. I guess I don't know what.
All right, I'll hang up so you can talk to me. He wants to
I
talk
thought
to
you meant
you.
it was racist against West Virginia.
No.
Americans. I wasn't. That was very confusing.
Hello, can I help you?
See, and he always
Yes.
spoke when Gary was actually on the line.
Yeah.
Yes, that's me. Yes, could you please identify yourself? Identify.
Now,
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
back.
from the
I'm
second
in Texas
call.
right now.
Yeah. Oh, I guess this is 8 minutes later.
Oh, he asked me a question. No, I'm in New York right now. You know that. Why are you asking me such a question?
Like, his family's genuinely confused about what's going on as well.
Yeah, I think at a certain point I'd just be like invested, like
You
to know
got-
what the
This is
fuck
you.
is.
I
Yeah.
Well, I would
swear to
start
God, I'm
being.
gonna
Well,
be
I
pissed.
mean, he's a dad. I would start being worried about my son. But if
Huh?
it was my dad getting these calls, I'd be like,
I'm trying to
okay,
listen
are my
to him.
parents in
Boy,
immediate
excuse
danger?
me?
They're such a mom and dad reaction.
It's funny.
Okay. Eventually, I'll be back from Texas. Could you speak more? Please speak more.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm making
I guess it's not Steven. I believe
food
it's
and
because
I'm not
I get
listening to
static.
these
You
calls.
just, yeah,
at this point. This is-
another
Let me go on this
unidentified
phone,
number.
because I can never hear on this phone. Hold on. Okay. Okay, please speak. Hello? Okay. Should I go out right now? Right now? Okay, see, I'm not sure where Orion is now, but we'll go outside.
Another new line.
It was show double from me.
Yeah, but that's very different from what he said last time.
Repeat that
which is-
again?
You were being impersonated by the other voice.
Well, no, there was another time he said double in the second phone call that more, again, implied he was being doubled, whereas
Yeah.
this says it will show double from you, which doesn't
Which
make
again doesn't
sense.
mean anything, but I
Right,
assume
right.
it to mean there is a double of you or
Sure.
something. Like whatever this voice is doing something.
See, the only
strange.
reason why I don't think it's his fellow coworkers on the army base. Not saying it's not a prank, but not from them. Do you really think a bunch of grunts who are like, let's fuck with this dork?
But they're not. They're not grunt. Well, first off, I think potentially yes, but also I would say I don't think they're grunts.
Oh, that's fair.
Because it's an
He-
Air
Sure,
Force base.
sure,
They're
sure,
probably
sure.
highly educated.
I'm not even, when I say grunt, I don't even mean like dumb as bricks. I'm just saying a bunch of dudes
Dude
get
bros.
together to play a joke, and you think they're all gonna be like, let's be really quiet and subtle. Like
I could
feel,
imagine.
I feel like
I could imagine it's maybe just one person, a
That's more
tormentor of
believable.
some sorts.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I still think that to me, that's my how I would think about this. I just think too the fact that this person would continue to answer. It's like the thing someone gets ding dong ditched. The people that get ding dong ditched are the people who consistently go out
And
front
answer the
and
door,
flip
yeah,
out and do all these things.
Right.
Versus people who are just like, you know what? I'm going to turn my lights off and ignore the ding donging for a day.
But I feel like if the joke is let's get him to go outside and look at the moon. I feel like they'd be hammering that point home
Way more,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like if the butt of the joke is let's get him to look like a fool, it would be trying really hard to get him to
See,
look
I
like a
think
fool.
the
Does
butt of
that-
the joke is just to
Freak
get
him out.
him out and have him on the
line.
call as long
okay,
as possible.
that makes more sense.
Because I think that they're just saying weird, cryptic things, and at this point, the entire family is completely involved, and they're moving
That is
around to
funny.
different phones, and they started recording these calls.
Well, if
like,
you point out, if you notice, the father points out, it's like, hey, I met one of your intergalactic peoples in West Virginia or whatever, right?
That would have fed the fucking fires like
Well,
crazy if he was being
so the family itself has some kind of a history with UFOs or
Sure.
aliens.
Yeah.
So like they have.
That's also why they're more willing to.
Yeah,
sit around.
they
Yeah.
want to believe. Quote
Right,
unquote.
right.
Now there is one more phone call that came in. This is after the previous night's events finally ended. It is now 10:21 p.m. Tuesday. So again, it's late in the evening or late in the night,
the
but it is the
following
next
day
day.
yet again,
Yeah.
yeah.
One more call came in.
Yes, this is me. Can I speak to you? Can I ask why you're... Yes, can I ask why you're
Way
calling?
more active than the last call.
Can I please ask... Yes, this is.
At this point,
Yes,
again,
that is
why,
me.
why are you still on the line? Like you said, Adam. We come again different.
Now that's where it's like.
Say that
this is
again?
a prank.
see, this is
This is the
they're
payoff.
striking now that the iron is hot
Yeah,
to
yeah,
build
yeah,
into the
it's
more the lore.
Leave? I'm staying right here. Is this a joke or
We
what?
come. Well, I don't see you.
It's so confrontational. I love it.
Gary gives me these vibes. I'm not gonna lie to
Well,
you.
think about it. He's a fucking soldier in the 1990s. He's from New York. This is exactly the kind of personality I'd imagine he had.
I still struggle to understand too what he found so strange about the helicopter.
See, we'll talk about that right after this.
He lives on an Air Force base, right? There's a helicopter in the air.
I have to think about that. I'd like to see you.
To visit the many.
Hey, let me tell you something.
The uncles.
I've been listening to you,
I love this part.
and I've had contacts with you.
The father and uncle had seen a UFO in West Virginia at some point.
Government interference? You have? Please explain what type of interference. Okay.
Visitations to be disrupted by them.
Oh, well, now this is just getting way out there.
Dark side of world. No.
The sun will rise from the dark side of the moon.
Always better coming out of a New Yorker's mouth.
Okay, what branch of the government?
Straight to
Judicial,
brass tacks. Yeah, straight to brass
Legislative
tacks.
with Who's Haunting Me?
Show is
So
double of
funny. Is it the executive branch?
What should I do?
He told you about 17 times, Gary. Go,
Go
outside.
outside.
Look at the fucking Orion's constellation.
This is about Bill Clinton putting an air base on the moon.
The Star Wars project, or whatever the fuck.
To be disrupted by them.
Okay. Is that good for me or bad?
He's
They hung up.
pretty rational about it. I mean, as far as one can be.
But during all of this, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like that's the kind of shit that I wish horror movie protagonists would ask instead of being like, "What's going?" Just be like, "The thing is gonna happen. Is that good or bad?" Like I like his rationale.
How does this affect me, though? That
government interference?
Yeah, that was the actual last call that Gary received from the anonymous voice.
And they were all within, what, 2 hours of each other?
Three days.
3 days. The first three came the first night. The last one came the last day. Now there are a handful of theories that try to explain about what's going on.
I also love the fact that he keeps trying to blame Steven. He has
Who
a
is his
third.
bro-
He's a third brother.
Brother.
Why doesn't he think it's Brian?
Also, did Steven weigh in on this?
Not on this
Let's
at all.
get
Yeah.
Steven on the line.
It's like,
I'm
I'd
actually
like to-
yeah. Why
I'd like
wouldn't
to
he
phone
just
a
call
friend.
Steven
Hey,
immediately?
Steve, what's going on?
what-
Did you just call me?
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Well, I guess maybe he did.
And he goes, "Is this Gary Sudbrink?
Hey, Steven, are you there? Hello, Gary Sudbrink.
Look out the dark side of the moon.
You sound like Mike Staclaza when you do that.
This is Gary Sudbrink."
So this does have a couple of theories hovering around it. I'm just going to start reading off the rip.
Aliens.
We have, yes, whether or not it's authentic and strange. Gary is mentally stable with no history of mental illness and has never gone out of his way to monetize this event. At the time of the calls, he was employed by the military. So again, much like the police officers from our last Bridgewater Triangle episode, actually had something to gain from talking to people about like, hey, yeah, I snuck out of the base, and I don't think he could have gone to his boss for that. With that being said, the first theory is that the event was authentic and that the source
The first theory is that it's just straight up real.
is that it is real.
It's so funny when
That's
that's like,
daring.
yeah, Bold stance.
Brave of you to have
Now
that
let me give
theory.
you a couple of.
Now, theory 1 is that there's nothing fake or sketchy about this.
Theory
It's
2. Did
actually
you hear about
just-
Theory 2 where they don't think it's real?
every mystery is just a 50-50 binary. Either A, it's real, or B,
Or
it's,
B, it's
not.
not. But
That's it. I've
Gary-
debunked every mystery.
Gary mentioned that the calls had been traced, and like I brought up before, they originated from his home, so they aren't coming from anywhere.
You're saying the creepy voice line, they traced it to be coming from inside
So not
the
that
house?
not that the creepy voice was coming from the house, but that the landline wasn't getting a call from anywhere itself. The call was coming
that's
from
spooky.
the call was coming from his own home, which is why they're like, wait a minute. So hold on, we traced it, and the trace is just telling us that it's like
Your
our
house.
landline.
Now there are rational things around how that could happen. It's a lot of extra fucking work, but like you've probably seen in movies where they like spoof a phone call
Yeah.
by clipping something to a telephone line. I'm not, that's a lot of work, and I'm not saying that's what happened here, but there are rational explanations for how you can make a phone call seem to come from
Well,
somewhere
I
that's
know
not
I
actually
know
coming
this
from.
is a little bit before our time, I think, but I know there was star 6'7" or 6'8" or whatever.
There was a way to call back, yeah.
Well, no, it masked your ID
Yeah,
or whatever
You can call. Well, also you can delist your phone.
as a private number.
Yeah, but there's a way. I've used it as a kid. There is a way that you basically type in like 2 or 3 extra numbers before you make a call,
And
and
then
it will
tell
come up
you.
as caller unknown.
Got
is
you.
what it'll do.
But being a government employee, it has been theorized that the government might be responsible for the calls for whatever reason, whether it's legit or like deep black ops bullshit going on in the background. There's just the fact that the general populace kind of.
I
has-
would want to know why the government would call and be like, "Hey, the government's fucking with you."
Oh, so that's
while
well,
actively
yeah. So
fucking-
it's a question of whether or not it's not like government. How do I phrase it? Like big G government. It's like, oh, the government is calling, and by that it's like the Men in Black or the gray ops
Alien
specter,
researchers,
yeah,
yeah.
whatever the fuck, are trying to get in contact with Gary for whatever the reason might be. They obviously didn't succeed because
I also feel like there's better way. Like if I was a man in black singular, I feel like there's better ways to get in contact with people to warn them about moon doppelgangers, other than just being like,
Leave them
That is
a
stuff
really
that
cryptic 4-night long.
yeah,
Call
prank,
line.
prank, phone call to his.
Why
New
would
York
why would you be so
cryptic.
unable to explain? I mean,
Right.
in a single sentence. Hey, by the way, we think there might be an extraterrestrial clone of you coming down to Earth. You should
within
prob-
the planet. You have
Yeah.
to remember that part.
Well, how do we know that this Gary? Maybe the reason he didn't decide to monetize these things is because Gary
got
Prime is gone.
doppelgang.
Yeah.
The doppelganger's like, honestly, this isn't
Now
that big
it's-
of a deal.
One of the other theories leading into the authentic.
Space racism. What part of the galaxy y'all from?
I think I know.
Milky
I think,
Way.
From Orion?
I think I know a couple of you. You guys know the guys from West
You can
Virginia.
y'all can refuel here, but you can't stay on our planet after dark.
We don't take
You're gonna have to
comment
keep going. You're gonna have to keep going past Mars.
to alien. But like aliens, the other possibility is ghosts.
Oh, Ghosts versus Aliens. That's always a cool one. That's just the plot of Dan to Dan. I just realized.
Is it?
Yeah. The whole reason why aliens haven't fucked up Earth
Oh,
is
that
because there's
plot
so
line.
many
Yeah.
ghosts keeping
I
it
thought
safe.
you were talking about Gary had his.
Oh, the doppelgangers?
penis
No,
taken or
I'm
something.
saying no.
I thought so too. I thought you were going to be like, well, did you watch the prequel when the guy just kept getting called?
When Gary Sudbrink, no,
I was like, wait,
no,
what?
I'm saying the overarching plot of Dan to Dan is that the reason why aliens haven't taken over or fucked up Earth is because we have so many ghosts and supernatural things, which I think is really cool and
I do
interesting.
too. I appreciate
and
that.
this would
yeah.
be, I mean, this is
Akin to
literally,
that?
this would be, this theory would be in the lines of like, well, I guess this guy's the alien in this case, not
All
the
right.
ghost. I don't know.
so I'm-
Well, hold on. What fucking ghost theory? He's saying we're coming to be within your planet. That wouldn't be the ghost talking. Unless it's an alien ghost.
It might be. Who knows how that works, dude? If an alien dies, does it become a ghost, or is it just not
That'd be
turning into? Do
cool.
they have souls? Did God give aliens
Eldar
souls
do. I
when
mean-
He made them?
In the 40K universe, the Eldar literally have like provable souls.
He made us in His image. What made them?
I do like that extra form of like human supremacy is
Is
like
God
is
is-
also religious affiliated. Is like you fucking xeno scum. I look like God, not you.
The
you
following
piece of
theory has
shit.
no actual evidence. It's just speculation based off of Gary's work. If aliens
As
wanted
opposed to
to
all
make
the other things
shut up, Adam.
Dude, on the podcast.
If aliens
They're not
if aliens
speculative.
wanted to make contact with someone on Earth, they would need need to interface with our existing technologies. And in 1993, the best technology for that would be our landlines.
What did you just say?
He said the best was if somebody.
Did you say? I thought you said landmine.
No!
You know what's funny is I
Landline.
read the word as landmines. It's
course.
landline.
It's like these explosive.
The best way aliens get in contact is by planting themselves under our feet and blowing the limbs off of our
Hey,
soldiers.
War of the Worlds.
Did that?
That didn't happen.
I didn't watch War of the Worlds. Is there,
There was no
landmines in
landmine
that?
scene.
War of the Worlds. That's they burrow under the ground. That's the.
I missed that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the landmine scene, the famous landmine scene.
The
in War of
classic
Worlds.
landmine scene.
Well, I
Where
like-
Tom Cruise loses
Adam.
a leg.
I like the idea of the aliens just floating in space, be like, why don't they understand what we're saying?
I
And
love-
it's just explosions.
I like more you go to look at the aliens and they're like, we have to figure out some way to blend into Earth, but we're very lucky that we look like a conventional invention that exists already on Earth. And then you go to like pan over to the aliens and it's just a
Landmine.
species of sentient landmines that are like, how fortunate we are that we can blend in seamlessly with the populace. And there's just a bunch of landmines.
how seamless we can blend. It's just a gun. They're just all gun shaped.
It's so funny.
This is very fortuitous.
Yeah. How lucky we are that we already look like something that exists on their planet, but we have to blend in, so we have to commit to the bit. And the alien just like, you step on an alien and it's like,
So you know for a fact I'm gonna put a sound
It just
effect in
says
there.
you are now dead. Welcome to the afterlife. Is what it says.
we have to abduct him now. Fuck.
Yeah. And everyone thinks heaven is really just the cargo bay of some giant spaceship. They're like, I didn't expect the afterlife to be so cold.
This is an afterlife that can be exclusively reached by being blown up by an alien.
Yeah, literally everyone's like, oh, this
Everybody
version
else goes to
they're like,
human
either
heaven.
this version of hell. I don't know if I'm in hell or heaven, but the only way to get here is by stepping onto landmines.
I like the idea. It's like, welcome to heaven. with
You're all
This is-
Gary
this is-
Sudbrink.
This
With-
is landmine heaven, baby.
with open bar.
I really would have thought there would be more like World War II era spirits with us.
Everybody else.
Why is there nobody from?
There's a bunch of. Why are there so many Cambodian children in heaven?
Why aren't there more
Vietnamese
Chechens
children.
around? I don't understand.
Well, and the final theory here is pranks and hoaxes, because the last one very much is the fact that Gary does have two brothers. Prank calling your friends and family, it was, and I mean, it's even easier today than it ever has been. There used to be button combinations that you would hit before making a call to obfuscate your number. There used to be button combinations you do in order to do the exact opposite, to trace where that call was originally coming from. So maybe one or both of his brothers just got in their
Not
heads.
Brian. He's a good kid.
Yeah, Brian's
He's
a
a
good
good egg, unlike that fuck ass
Steven. He's pranking his brother. On his wedding day, he was pranking Gary. They just got together and pulled a relatively harmless prank that somehow managed to carry itself 40 years into the 30 years into the future now.
I think it was an exceptionally. I do think it was a prank, but I think it was an exceptionally well done prank because of the restraint. I actually think Call 4 was the worst.
Where it
the
went
most
off.
If they would have
yeah.
never done Call 4, I think that prank is even stronger.
Do you think?
at
Do you think
being
Call
ominous
4?
and-
Do you think Call 4 was like they've had a day to think about like what kind of weird shit can we tell our?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Call 4 feels notably more gratuitous.
I
than the
think
rest.
if Call 4 started out, I'd be like, all right, goodbye.
Yeah, it's just they really lay it on thick when they're like extraterrestrial
Contacts, government, and affiliate.
Within, yeah, that fun stuff.
Whereas I think before maybe they had more patience, and then they had 3 days of being drunk on the ecstasy of those previous calls of how well this has gone, and they were like, "Well, we just have to do this a second
we
time."
got to keep going. They're running up. They're literally chasing a dragon.
Yeah.
I do like that the uncle tried to be like, are you the same alien from before?
Yeah.
Well,
That was nice of him.
I
mean,
appreciate.
I guess to be fair, like, how many aliens do you know, really?
Are you calling me from landmine heaven?
Well, I appreciate that the family,
Is it my time?
the family seemed to be as equally. I don't know.
Interested?
Gary didn't seem. Honestly, Gary didn't seem concerned about it whatsoever.
He was trying to get facts.
Yeah, he was just like,
I like that's a good protagonist.
What are you? Hello, what are you trying to get? Who are you?
Yeah,
Who is
he
this?
asked
Yeah,
good questions.
all of them, because he was trying to get down to the bottom of it.
Nothing pisses me off more than in a horror movie when it's like you're gonna die in 7 days and they're like, "Who are you?" No, that doesn't fucking matter. Like if you genuinely believe you're gonna die in 7 days, maybe
Do
you should ask
something
like a
about
pertinent
it.
fucking
Yeah.
question, like, "Why do you know this?" I don't know.
But this
Ow.
Be like, will Tylenol help? How much Tylenol can I?
It's gonna
Would a
really
Bayer
hurt.
aspirin extend? Give me another few days.
Unfortunately, I don't think a Bayer aspirin's doing anything to
Dude,
stop
Bayer
a
aspirin's
ghost.
incredible. You ever see the inside of a cockroach?
No.
I haven't either.
Look at Elias's hand.
I'm not. Oh, come on. Stop making him look.
Damn. I can't believe I shaved for this.
And what a shave it was.
His fingernails in landmine heaven.
Specifically, only my finger. You think that's an in? Do you think now that the fingernails?
Well, you're
in there?
partially in.
Well,
Yeah,
did you
so-
find the fingernails? It's sitting somewhere in your door jamb.
I assume it's somewhere in the parking lot.
Could you
Oh,
imagine?
somebody could just like get your DNA and clone you. You're
Yeah.
gonna get doppelganger.
I'm gonna get impersonated.
You're gonna get oh my God! Could you imagine an Elias that grew fingernail first?
What? How do you?
Like
What does that even mean?
No.
What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, you formed, I assume, like normally, like how every other human.
I just picture
But, like-
it being looking exactly like Elias, but having the mental faculties of a fingernail. So it's just like it's essentially an inanimate object.
I don't think it would. You know what? I don't know why I said it because I don't think it would affect the end result. I think it's just funny to picture that this Elias came from like a fetus, zygote, etc. Every way that every other human. But I don't know why I picture that when they clone you, they didn't like take the DNA
It's like
from the finger.
it's like they planted a fingernail.
They take your fingernail and they zap it with like a clone ray, and the rest of Elias grow there's the fingernail and then your finger.
What I'm
and then
imagining
from the finger,
See,
the rest of Elias.
You're describing that,
shows
but
up.
I'm
You know
imagining.
what I mean?
I'm imagining.
How?
I'm with Adam. If you planted like a fingernail of Elias
Don't look at me like that.
and doppelganger dirt, and then like
You grow
It's
like
very West, in West, the intro to Westworld, where they have like a 3D printer making a human being.
Okay,
They start from the finger.
That's what I'm saying. Did you ever watch Elysium?
Yeah.
Remember when the guy's face gets blown
Yep,
off and then they have to
yep.
it's like that, but that's all they have is his fingernail. So they have to, they're not going to start on his fucking head because it's going to be attached to nothing.
The brain will
Unless
just
you're
flop
growing
out, yeah.
Well, I'm saying like, your finger and then everything else, it's like.
Hey, if we ever have an Island of Dr. Moreau scenario with fucking Adam over here
And I
making
get it.
biological monsters.
And we find out that cloning is real and we have this debate and we go, okay, we have to settle something. They're like, we're going to clone you and doppelganger
what I
you.
thought you were saying was more like developmentally for some reason.
Oh.
When the egg is fertilized, like the first thing that forms isn't like because
It's
they're
the
like
fingernail.
after eight
It's
weeks,
got a-
like
it's got a
you see these
heartbeat
black
and a
dots
brain.
into the eyes.
The only thing you see is him with his forefinger
Yeah,
up.
literally just imagine they're doing
just
like
eats
they're
it.
doing like they're doing an ultrasound and it looks like Elias is about to make a rebuttal. It's just
It's
like,
the nerd
there's
actually.
his finger. Like if you look, you're like, well, if you look here and they're doing the classic ultrasound, like there's the fingernail.
I
And they're like,
dislike.
oh my God. I don't know why I phrased it and then I immediately went, this isn't relevant. Nothing is interesting about this. But I pictured how a clone of his fingernail would be formed.
Well,
and I was like, this is interesting.
Adam,
think
you
that-
said it. I think you said it, and Chip
not on the same
Chip and I both went like probably 4 different. What could this possibly mean in our head?
Nobody has ever uttered this sentence. Oh my God, he got cloned
I was
fingernail
like,
first.
is it like me, but I'm all fingernail?
Oh, you'd
Is
be
it
like a thumb from Spy Kids.
But yeah, that was the story of Gary Sudbrink and the.
That's cool. That was
yeah.
That
really
one,
interesting.
I'll tell you what. That one, I think, in terms of the story, was the strongest one that you've brought.
Because this
for
one
quite
has
a
a
while.
very dedicated narrative, unlike
Yep.
all of
Sure.
the other ones where I was definitely trying to piece together a
Hearsay,
story.
napkin
Yeah,
drawings
this was a man who said this happened to me, and unlike a lot of those stories, exactly, we have proof, we have recordings, and we have decades.
And
of
he's
people
also
talking
not trying to
about him.
make any like assertions. He's not like, this is proof that there is a moon base. It's like, I got a phone call. Here's the phone call.
I wanted to say thank you all for giving this a listen. Give it 5 stars or a thumbs up on whatever platform you're listening to it on. You can reach us at ourhauntednostalgia@gmail.com. And I can say happily that the viewer suggestion from last week, or from last month, which was the Bridgewater Triangle, was given in by a viewer named Isaiah. So thank you, Isaiah, for that suggestion. And if you want
Does
to...
he want his name read out loud on the podcast?
Yeah, maybe just Isaiah. I would say literally just only do Isaiah.
and
Because he'll know who he is.
we'll be returning... Yeah,
And
that's fair.
now he's going to
Isaiah, who lives over here.
We
He's
will...
about to get we're going to have another episode in like 2 months, which is going to be about prank calls Isaiah received.
No, it's-
every time somebody gives us a suggestion, we just dox them and put their name and email address.
Well,
on
it's
the
gonna be
internet.
great. It's gonna be like Our Haunted Nostalgia is making their own episodes every time a
We
viewer.
We've run out of content.
We want
Let's
to
start.
thank we want to thank Baltimore local John Filson, who lives
Here's a
on
photo
Webster.
of his.
If you see the white Camry, honk twice because he's him.
If you are looking forward to next month, I say
I'm just kidding. We won't dox you. Give us.
If you're interested in identity theft, make sure you comment.
Send your social to,
Send your
to
social to
our haunted nostalgia.
at gmail.com. We're going to be returning
And that's who Chip will be next week.
All right. We're going to be returning next month. Keep your eyes on the hills, ladies and gentlemen.